All right, welcome everybody. This is our customer pain point live discussion. We have Andrew Barnum with Union Kitchen here with us today. JB is here as part of the program team as well. Maria will be joining a little later. She wasn't able to come last week, but you guys will see her again this week later on. And we really don't have, very many program updates. You guys are doing an amazing job with posting on the forum. It's really a lively discussion on there. I want to thank you all for your patience while the site crashed and I almost had a heart attack the other morning. We were able to save it. It does look like some of the profile pictures got erased and some of the recent uploads. So I know Andrew, when he was looking through things, couldn't see some of the pictures. I think for the most part, it's okay. You don't have to re-upload them unless you want to. The only one that I would really, really like to see is Linka's drawing. So Linka and Tori, if you could please upload that again, I would really appreciate it. And beyond that,
Sure,
I am just gonna, okay, awesome. So I'm gonna hand it over to Andrew in just a second. We are going to be doing some smaller breakouts today, and I've got you grouped up, in small groups for that of 3 to 4 people. But we're just going to have a general conversation first all together, then do the breakouts, and then come back. So Andrew, with that, it is all yours.
Awesome. Thanks, Katie. Good afternoon, everybody. Good to see you all again. This is one of my favorite classes to teach. This whole front end section is, I'm going to say this again and again, it's kind of my favorite stuff to teach because it's really foundational and fundamental to building your company in the way that we recommend. And so it's important, it's fun, it should be interactive, it gets you out there to start kind of rolling up your sleeves and talking to people and trying new things. So that should be hopefully fun for you all as well. So like Katie said, what we want to do today is have a little group discussion. I'm going to give you kind of my high level overview, some of the key points, key highlights from the article and the video that you guys have already seen before. So you read that and you watched that. And then I do want to kind of open it up to the group. I want to hear how the exercise went. We'll talk about that for a little bit. And then like Katie said, the breakout groups are going to be really useful. And this is where we can really dive in and have everyone talk about what questions they asked, what they learned, what, bounce ideas off each other, because you're going to keep refining. And I think I mentioned this last time, this idea of the lean startup and the kind of build, measure, learn, how everything we're going to be suggesting to you as entrepreneurs is going to be really iterative. So you're going to pilot different things, you're going to try it, you're going to, fail, you're going to learn a lot, and you're going to do something a little bit different next time. The other kind of analogy is the bumpers in old school bowling lane alleys, right? Alley lanes. So, we're not going to tell you the exact answer, but you're going to hear a bunch of different advice and you're going to kind of bounce your way up till you get to where you need to go. So the big thing here is you're going to be asking a lot of questions, learning a lot of different things and iterating as you go. So does that sound like a good approach for the day? Everyone excited for it? Excellent. So then in terms of kind of my high level recaps, when we're talking about customer pain points, the real concept here is you want to be a customer focused company, right? A lot of people have this idea that they really love and they want to go to market with, and they're like, this is my cheese recipe. I love this cheese recipe, so therefore everyone in the world is going to love this cheese recipe. Maybe, but maybe not. A much more successful approach is to get out there and find out what your customers want, on the one hand, and see where it overlaps with what you want to do to make sure that what you're actually providing is something that people want. And you can make the best widget in the world, but if nobody wants it, no one's going to buy it, you're going to go out of business. So really flipping your perspective and taking the customer's point of view is what we want to instill. There's another key phrase, and we have all these, sayings and stuff that we use in our programs, but the fall in love with the problem, not the solution. Has anyone heard that before? I mean, that is just like entrepreneurship 101. again, you can't say, I have this solution, I'm just going to go see who wants to buy it. That's just a recipe for pain and suffering and failure. It's going to be really hard to find those exact people. But if you fall in love with the problem and you say, I know that these customers are experiencing X, Y, and Z problem, well, then you can come up with any number of solutions to solve that problem. And each one of those could be a successful business. So really, when we're talking about customer pain points, we're talking about what those problems are. A few other things to reiterate, this concept of a painkiller versus a vitamin. Let's pause on that for a second. How did people feel about that? Were there any reactions? Did that concept resonate with folks?
Worksheet.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, Rebecca, I think you're coming off mute, but tell us, what did you think?
I was saying that worksheet confused me. I wasn't exactly sure what was asking, and that was in the instructions too. Is that some people are more visual, but it was likely to confuse some people, and it did.
Yep. Well, no problem there, and apologies that it was confusing. For some folks, it definitely can be. Does anyone else, or I can kind of explain some thoughts, but yeah, Pat.
Yeah. The painkiller vitamin thing didn't resonate with me so much, but I did understand how when I went through and looked at it, I could understand the concept. If you're in pain, you're definitely going to have a painkiller. Some people think vitamins don't matter so much, so they're not going to take them. I'm a vitamin taker every day, so it's kind of weird, but I'm also kind of a candy maker. So it's like painkiller, vitamin, candy. And, what are you going to go for? It's like the candy that you want on special occasions or just to make yourself feel good. I understand the idea, but it just didn't resonate with me just from my background, And
that makes sense. So like you said, some people do take vitamins every day. So, we try to find an analogy that works for everyone, but obviously that you can't.
Yeah.
But the idea is, if you sprain your ankle, like most of the time you're going to grab some Tylenol or Advil or whatever, right?
Andrew, can I stop you for a second?
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, this is just so my personal pain point is I'm an emergency medicine physician, and people come in with, I think she got bit by a bug. And I'm like, did you take anything? No. These people aren't taking pain. They're not taking Motrin or Tylenol or anything. And they're coming in to an emergency department. So it's almost like the analogy should be emergency room or clinic or or nothing. I don't know. I'm sorry. It was lost on me, but I kind of tried to go with it. So
perfect.
Sorry,
so for your particular background, maybe not the best, but Tori, did you have a different read on it?
Yeah. I think pain was not. I think that's shifted things in a way that I understand how the analogy works, but I thought it was also really useful to think about the fact that we're blessed enough to live in a society where we really get to think that our desires are needs, right? And so sometimes there are things that we desire, and I really don't need variety in my diet, but I certainly want it. And I often want it badly, right? Like badly enough that I think I need it. And so, for me, it was really useful to think about it that way because, we really are looking at markets where people do get to make all kinds of choices, even when they're dealing with relatively low budget options, So for me, that was a big part of how we thought about some of those things that I don't think hot sauce is necessarily a desperate need on anybody's part, but I know my life would be less rich without it.
So that's maybe a good way to frame it. At the end of the day, we're trying here to make things, easily understandable, but the concept is like, what is kind of level of severity? What's going to motivate people to do a certain thing? Cherokee, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, it was kind of interesting just to hear everything that everyone's had to say. And I had an unusual experience just from kind of like a side channel conversation. And I found out somebody was going through chemo. And I just happened to mention kind of what I was doing in my life. And that it kind of threw me off guard. And but they were really interested in just like what everybody was doing with this program. Cause I'm like, yeah, people are really into just like bringing healthy products and everything. And I think for me, that really solidified the severity issue of it, because sometimes, kind of even piggybacking off of what Tori said, you know, we take things a little bit for granted sometimes. So for some people, those types of consumers might have a different gauging system, if you will. So I just want to be like careful and cognizant of that, and not ever try to like sell people on a pipe dream or something, but then also really look at the nutritional side of things, because that was one thing I'd seen from the surveys, is people really, you know, do, it seems like they care anyways.
So one important thing to kind of build off what everyone here is saying is that I think that we all understand the concept of kind of severity or you know, scale or impact, right? Like some people don't really care about thing A, but they really care about thing B. And that's kind of the main concept that we're trying to talk about. Make sure that your product, you know, is if it is thing B, is focusing on people who care about thing B. The other concept here is that what may be a painkiller for you may be a vitamin for someone else, or what may be not significant for you may be really significant for someone else. So Pat, what you were saying about how vitamins are very important. Well, for you, that's a very significant, important thing. That's a motivator. For someone else, it may be just a nice to have, you know. So, but the concept here is that there are things that motivate people more than other things. And I want to make this a little real with a few examples. You'll see, I'll circle back to some of these examples later on in the program as well. But this is a tea that I love. I strongly recommend. I do not own any stock or anything in this tea, but you know, check it out. It's super caffeinated, so it's 3 times the caffeine of regular tea. It's more this is tea, this, you know, regular tea, this is coffee, this is this stuff. So for me, a big painkiller is like I'm focusing, you know, I'm or it's the end of the day and I'm tired, right? So for me, that's a big pain point, as I'm tired, but I got to get stuff done. So a painkiller, something that solves that, for me would be this product, right? So for me, that's a big motivator. The pain is I'm tired, but I got to get stuff done. So I'm going to look for a product that solves that pain. Another one that I think is a cool product here. Have any of you heard of Huel? So this, I'm a little bit embarrassed, but clearly I eat it. This stuff is like, it's basically powdered food, you know? So if you're hungry, you just make a milk, like a shake, right? And so the idea there is, again, you know, you're cranking, you're doing something like that, you're driving, you can't make a sandwich or something like that, but you're hungry. So the pain there is like, you know, I need food now and I want it easy. So that's a big pain. I'm very hungry, but I'm busy or I'm tired or whatever, and I'm hungry. So big pain right there. And that's a painkiller. It's like, all right, have a milkshake, 400 calories, you're done. Like it's fast. So the idea with these things here is identifying pain points that your customers experience that are going to make them get out there and pick your product up off the shelf. And, you know, this concept, again, it's all relative. What's a pain point for me may not be a pain point for you. What's something that's really urgent for me may not be urgent for someone else. But the first thing to kind of figure out, and it all builds on itself. So this one plus the next lesson is to start thinking about who would be the person that wants to buy your product, and what is the pain that that person experiences? What's the motivating factor that's going to get them to buy your hot sauce versus someone else's, or your hot sauce versus nothing? You know, so starting to really think through that lens from the customer's eyes. So let me pause there for a second. Any other thoughts on the lecture, the video, the kind of the concept here of pain points?
I didn't really know what it was. I had a misunderstanding that it was something that would prevent a client from buying something instead of being the motivating factor that would actually address an issue and make them buy it. I was thinking it was like the hang up, like we were trying to address, why wouldn't you buy my jerky, instead of like, what, you know, a different, like what would prevent them instead of what is motivating them. And
Good.
so I enjoyed learning that.
Good. And that's a good bit of feedback because we're also, this is a pilot program,
Yeah.
not fully pilot, but we're always improving it. So that's a good thing. We'll make that abundantly clear because I could see the confusion that could cause.
Yeah.
Alice, you have your hand up? Still.
Alice is at a trade show and she's navigating Zoom on her phone for the first time and trying not to be too loud for us. So she's been muting and whatnot, and she's trying to, wait, I might be able to get you off mute. Did something come up? There we go.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes.
I hope the background's not too loud. If so, because I am in a convention center, I'm sorry. The show's phenomenal. Anyway, Pain Point. See, with Pain Point, that's like all I focus on because people have too many pains, right? They're always whining about something, even me, even you, right? You're going to whine about maybe you just don't have enough time or money to go get a decent lunch at work.
Yeah.
Or you get home and it's late and you're just going to eat a bowl of cereal because you don't have time to make dinner. All of those are pain points to me. So that's why and being in the military and I had those MREs, which are the meal ready to eat, all freeze dried stuff. Well, they've changed it over the years now, but back when I was in, it was a lot of freeze dried stuff. So that's what got me thinking about using my farm produce. And the spoilage, right? That's really painful. You go to Sam's Club and buy strawberries and it's going to be moldy in 2 days. That's painful because they're expensive. So that's why, I'm doing the freeze dried strawberries. But I really focus in on pain points.
Good. And that's an interesting thing. And again, the idea here with this exercise is some things are painful for some people and not others. But that for some people, I mean, who doesn't know the pain of getting a big box of strawberries you're excited about, and then 2 days later they're gone? Like that's something that resonates with me, right? I can get that. And so as you're thinking about that, I'm quite sure there are some people who have that pain. And when we start talking about your core customer next time, you're going to start thinking about other characteristics of that group. But that is clearly a pain that some customers, potential customers, exhibit. What else about the exercise or anything like that? Big picture questions, because soon we're going to go into the breakout groups, and then we're really going to get to dive into your exact experience, your surveys, your responses. You'll bounce it off each other. But any big picture thoughts for the whole benefit of the whole group?
Can I say something? I'm
sorry. Yes.
Okay. Hi, this is Seta. Thank you. Again, Andrew and all of the team at UF. I can't tell you again how important this is for me and us. And the challenge of this course and really getting aligned with what you guys are trying to present, plus what we have to do, has been very interesting. And I want to say thank you for your patience in advance, but more so thank you for this platform that's pushing us a little bit harder to get this stuff right and in order. Thank you. It's really been a pleasure working through this process. That's all.
That is wonderful to hear. Thank you.
Yeah, and I just wanted to add that I really, and I'm sure we'll talk about the surveys later, but I enjoyed seeing the, being able to see the other surveys. I think it's helpful also to have kind of a regional base because there's less of a, I guess, a gap in the idea of what one person, like in terms of customer profile, what they might want if it's kind of regional, if that makes sense,
You say that one more time. So it's helpful are you saying that you want to see the responses from other surveys? Or
yeah, I feel like whenever everyone posted their survey results, it gave me kind of a more overarching analysis of things like to be able to identify people with similar products or something, like if they're more interested in having an organic certified product, or if they're interested in like a very specific thing, like if they're focused on having sustainable resources, it does also show that is something that people are thinking about. So it can be applied like more broadly, not just to one particular product.
Yeah, and an interesting thing, and Katie, I don't know, maybe this is where you could jump in, because I know Florida as a program has access to U of F or UF and the library, right? So there are, you all are doing your own surveys, which is great because that's very specific to what you need. But of course, Cherokee, like you're saying, there's broader trends out there. And UF, thankfully, has access to a lot of really expensive data that you guys get for free. So if you want to start looking into the bigger surveys and stuff, you can then get those broad trends. You'll still want to do your own very narrow research. But Katie, I'll turn to you.
Yeah, so we have a librarian who I think might have even been there when I went to undergrad there. So he's been there for a long, long time. He is the business librarian, and he helped our last cohort. We plan on reaching out to him again for you guys. It'll come during the Researching Brands Week, which is more towards the middle of the program, where you can call him and he helps you go into the databases and actually find market research that's appropriate for your product. So that is really helpful when that comes around, and we encourage everyone to do it at that time. So one thing I did want to mention really quickly that I thought was a really great idea, and it was from an entrepreneurship not in food, but what she did, she has an online bookstore. And she created 2 advisory councils because she realized that she was going to have lots of questions and not want to survey people all the time. So she has an author's council and advisory council, and then she also has a reader's advisory council. And whenever she's wondering something, she'll put together a list of questions and send it to them, and that's their role, is to kind of give her that feedback. And and they know that they're going to get asked a lot of questions. You can't send out a survey to people every week, every time you have questions, but that council I thought was a great idea. So anyway, just wanted to share that. Andrew, back to you.
No, that's cool. I've never heard that before, but I do like that idea. Another way to kind of make that very actionable could be, the friends and family, group, the people that you do feel comfortable pinging again and again, because you're giving them some, free hot sauce or something like that. So make sure that, you do keep channels to folks that you can ask questions and advice to. 1, love the advisory council idea, if you can figure that out. And then 2, and then 3, the library. You guys have access to some really cool resources. So let's do this. So that's kind of the big picture, broad bits of advice and, tips and tricks that I would say, how to think about this. Last bit of encouragement, ask as many folks as you can. You're going to get broad information now. As we start narrowing it into your core customer over the next bit, you're basically doing the same type of thing and then asking this for the smaller group of people. So when you find your core customer, you're really going to be able to marry, this is the type of person that I think is buying my product, and that's because they have these pain points that I can solve, et cetera. So it's all going to build on itself. But I do think that now let's break out into these groups, Katie, and I'll keep popping around. But the big guidance here for everyone, I don't have any guiding questions to post or anything. But the guidance is make sure, we have a good amount of time. Spend time with each person talking through their hypotheses, their survey questions. What did they find that was interesting? Do people agree with these pain points? Really help push each other's thinking. And this is, again, this is building this cohort. So one other big piece of advice there, have an open mind and assume the best intentions. So if you say, I think this is my pain point, and someone says, no, that's crazy, I don't agree with that at all. First, maybe don't say it's crazy, but, do give each other hard feedback. This is a really important and nice opportunity that you have to help each other out. All right.
Yeah, on that, I'm going to read out who's in which breakout room in just a second, and you guys can send yourselves to the breakout room, go to the ones that you're assigned to. As everyone knows right now, life is really, really hard for a lot of people for multiple reasons. So yes, always that pushback is great, but always just be kind and supportive. We just want this environment to be just a joy to show up at each week. and even like the language of when you want to say no, be like, yes, and, or like trying to don't, keep it a brainstorming session. So you're pushing back and giving more ideas, but you're not trying to stop someone in their tracks. So with that, I am going to read out the groups. So group 1, I'm going to open the rooms. And if you need help getting to the room, I can help you, but let me get through reading the list first. So group 1, Alice, Erica, Patricia, Pamela. Group 2, Seta, Cherokee, Rebecca, Sarita. Group 3, Deborah, Jocelyn, and Tori and Linka. So we're gonna leave you in for 40 minutes. And so each person should have about 10 minutes.
And
Okay,
Katie and I will
now
bounce
it's-
around.
Yep, we'll pop around. If you need me to move you, let me know.
I just hope I can get in the group from my phone. I have no idea
There's
how to do
4
that.
rooms, right?
Use
What?
what?
There's 4 rooms, right?
No, there's 3 rooms.
Oh, okay. I'm
So-
in number 3.
You're in number 3? Let me put you there, Debbie.
I mean, I'm just not sure. I can,
Okay, I think that should work. Alice, where did I say you belong?
In the first room? How do I go there?
Okay. I'm gonna try to stick you there right now. Hang on.
All right, so we
Seta,
need a
which room
timekeeper.
did
You
I
said
say
10
for you?
minutes? 10 minutes?
You're 2. So 10 minutes for each person. Yes.
Okay, per person.
Hey, JB, I am sending you to room 2.
Okay.
Andrew,
Where
I'm
do you
gonna
want me?
send you to room 1. And I'm going to room 3. All right, it looks like we're starting to get a couple people. Some more will come out over the next minute or so, and I'll force everyone out. Okay. Oh, you're muted, Andrew. I don't know if you're talking.
Yep.
But,
Sorry about that. Could you bring Alice and Pat out of their room too, to the main one? And now, Katie, I think you're muted.
it will automatically kick everyone out. I don't know how to get them out otherwise. They're
Oh, shouldn't be
they're
that
stuck.
long.
They're stuck in there for 52 more seconds. So, sorry.
There we go. Pat and Alice are both out.
Done.
Okay.
We were stuck.
Well, we still have some people stuck. Room 3 looks like they're still talking. And room 2, we have Cherokee and Rita still in there. So they'll be out when it and we now have 23 seconds. Then we'll have everyone.
That 40 minutes flew by. There was not enough time for us to talk.
Yeah, it seems like the conversations were all really good. I hopped around to all the rooms. I do want to apologize to JV. I moved her in the middle of talking. I don't know which room she was in, but if you didn't hear the rest of her thought, I'm sorry. She didn't expect that she was in too. And I moved her. So it was a
It's okay. It was 2.
oh,
It was room 2, and I'd sure like to hear what she was saying because she was going to say something to me. So thank you. We'll talk to you in a bit.
Excellent. Okay, Katie, have we got everyone?
Go ahead, Andrew.
I was just going to say, have we got everyone? Perfect. All right, excellent. Well, yeah, to echo what Katie said, bouncing around from room to room, that was some great conversation. And this is, I'm going to say this every time, probably a few times, every class. This is the power of the cohort, right? This is why we do things in these groups. Having, either 3 other people, 2 other people, 12 other people to bounce these ideas off of is going to be really valuable for each of you as you go through this. For each different step, you're going to have all these extra brains to put on these problems, all these different opinions, and not just, stranger opinions, but people that are doing the same thing that you're doing, coming up against the same types of challenges, and bringing their unique perspective on those challenges. So really encourage you in the breakout rooms, keep tapping each other's perspectives, but also referring you back to the portal, the online website, right? There's discussion forums, there's ways you can message each other. So keep these conversations going. And as you do surveys, ping everybody on this call, right? You've already got 10 other people, that's like an instant set of respondents. And just be generous with your time, pay it forward, pay it back, etc. So strongly want to plug that. Cool. So for the next few minutes, let's just talk a little bit, kind of maybe recapping what we talked about in the breakout rooms. I'd love for folks to share, anyone that was really inspired or interested, share what you want to do differently based on the survey. Like what did you think? What did you hear that changed your mind, and what are you going to do with it? Because that'd be nice to share with the whole group, and then people can maybe react to that a little bit. I think that's a nice way to kind of end this session. Does anyone want to jump in?
I'll go, because I did get some wonderful, wonderful nuggets. I first was not sure about the large quantity or with sizing. I would put what my tonic is in, and it was a high recommendation of stick with the shot size, and the recommendation that people would need it every day, to offset sometimes the people that are taking pharmaceutical medicines, would they rather take something that were herbal and healing. So there were a couple good nuggets that came out of that conversation, and I appreciate Shahida and others who contributed those nuggets back. Thank you.
Yeah, so that's really interesting. So to recap for folks that weren't completely, read in the discussion, what Seta was saying was, around messaging, right? So not necessarily changing your product, but about how you're going to describe the pain point, right? So instead of just wanting a healthy beverage, also that this is maybe an alternative to taking so much over the counter Advil or Tylenol or something like that. Like that's a cool, different way to message it. What do folks, any reactions from the group to that? Or maybe to start, is that a pain point that folks on the call experience? You're taking too much over the counter medicine. You have an ache and pain.
Yes, I think it is. I think I happen to overeat Excedrin migraine because not because I necessarily have a headache 24/7, but there's also that caffeine in there. And so when I take Excedrin, it makes me feel good and it gives me that little burst of energy. Well, that stuff is bad for you, the acetaminophen is. So I would take an herbal product over taking that anytime if I could find something that would give me the same kick. I'm kind of interested in that tea that you're drinking, Andrew. I took note of that, but you know, to me that's a pain point. So.
All right, we sure can get you some as soon as we get it bottled up.
That's awesome, Seta. And I'm not too far. You're in Monticello, right?
Yeah, where are you?
Madison.
Oh yeah, we can make it happen.
We're neighbors.
I'm working on my samples now, so this weekend I'll have some.
Awesome.
Nice.
Perfect. Rebecca, I saw you nodding your head too, that was something that resonated with you as a pain point that you identify with maybe. Or at least it sounds like a good one.
Yeah, absolutely. I was also thinking that, you know, I probably don't have enough sweets in my life. So I don't know if someone could market that, you know, that there was cookies and all kinds of other stuff, you know, that definitely solves some pain points for me anyways.
Cool. So who else had one that they thought was that they learned something and they're going to do something different based on what they learned in the survey?
Me. The ladies in my group suggested possibly freeze drying my soup and selling it as a, you know, shelf stable. I was thinking frozen, you know, fresh frozen, but freeze drying. I don't know if I would want to do that 100% of the time, but it might be 2 different ways to market it. You know what I'm saying? In the future.
Backpacking community would love it. There is no good portable backcountry food. There's only a couple companies doing it really well. And
Yeah,
Patagonia is one of them.
Everybody
Awesome.
is awesome with that. And I was thinking just the fact that we all live in Florida.
And
we have
hurricanes.
hurricanes and stuff,
Yep.
you know, and you want to have something to eat it during hurricane season other than a can of SpaghettiOs.
Exactly. And then of course the preppers.
All right, the preppers.
So talk us, just crystallize that, like what is the pain point for that one? I mean, I think it's obvious, but just hear us, you know, have you say it. Right? It's the shelf life, stability, and all of that. Is that the one that you're solving?
So the pain point would be not having the ability to, you know, keep your good tasting preserved food or whatever, shelf stable food.
And
You know,
so
if you don't have it, then this would be the solution to that.
And it's different than like a can because it's higher quality or tastes better or something like that.
Right.
And it's not a can.
Oh yeah, you didn't hear my whole canned soup tirade about the chickens and all that. Yeah. Yeah, those chickens the chickens that they use in that canned soup, that famous red and white label that we all eat.
Not so good.
Don't
Okay.
want to know.
Well, I also
You
don't
really,
want
you really don't want to know.
You want
There's a
happy
chicken
hens.
processing
already-
plant in my county. And
No.
I've seen that.
I know.
Yeah.
Oh, gross. All right. So, what about nutrition on the go? I mean, is that really something that would be helpful for yours? Because it's
I
like a
think
bite or
so.
something.
So that one I don't know is on the go, right? Because it would be freeze dried and then you'd have to reconstitute with water. Is that accurate?
Right, it's not like a stick of beef jerky that you can just rip up in a package and eat, but I mean, it's kind of on the go. If you took it to the office and all you had to have was hot water to throw in there to reconstitute it, it's pretty simple.
So I think
Healthy
that,
cup of soup.
yeah, right. Yeah. So I think that that's a really cool pain point to focus on. I really like the idea of the outdoors, the backpacking community, hurricane, preparation and all of that stuff. I think those are really good pain points because people buy a lot of that, right? So that's clearly a pain point that somebody experiences. I mean, we've all, you know, most of us, I assume, have
Tax-free
gone backpacking,
weekends, yeah.
you know, and you want something that, you know, is not, is not like a dried beans or something like that. Like,
Right,
that's
something good, something hearty.
good. Exactly. I think that's a
The thing
pretty
about freeze drying though, that I should tell you guys that's amazing is as far as all the different methods of preservation, freeze drying retains the most nutrition. Better than freezing.
It does,
Better
yep.
than canning. Better than dehydrating. The only thing that might give you more nutrition is fermentation, but that's a different type of preservation. But freeze drying actually will retain. And for her soup, she was complaining about the noodles, because if you freeze noodles and then you thaw them out, they become mush. Whereas you
Right.
freeze dry them, they don't become mush.
Now
Yeah, that would
that
definitely
stuff
fix
tastes
that.
like you want it to.
Mhm.
What?
good.
Yeah, it tastes exactly like you want it to, like you
Yeah,
made
exactly.
When
it off.
it's
the stove
freeze
and then-
dried.
Yeah.
That's
So
so
that's-
exciting.
So she's gonna send me some soup, aren't you, Pamela?
Yes, I am, and you're gonna freeze
And I'm
dry
gonna
it.
freeze dry it for her.
There
Beauty of
you
the
go. What a
cohort.
great
There you go.
idea.
That's the way that works. Yes, nice.
Alice,
Well,
where do you live?
Near Tampa, south
Good,
of
I'm-
Tampa.
I'm coming that way, the first of the week, next week,
That sounds great.
so I'll get with you.
Southeast of Tampa, yeah.
Okay,
Then you're gonna send us all samples.
Well, we're gonna
as
have
soon
a
as we
freeze
get it
dried
shelf
party.
stable, I'll be happy to share.
If it's shelf
We're gonna
stable, if
have
it's freeze dried.
We're gonna have a freeze dried party at some point, so y'all can just come and we'll freeze dry stuff.
So who else learned something? Let's get one or two more people. Just, I'm looking at the clock. I want to make sure we stop right at 5:30, give, respect your time. But one or two more people who learned something interesting, had a hypothesis, learned something different, is going to do something different because of it. Jocelyn, you got your hand up?
Yeah, I guess I learned something that I'm kind of concerned about, I guess. So I knew that healthy, like on the go, but I was thinking healthy in terms of packed with protein and like better ingredients, but people are very concerned about preservatives in like jerky products or on the go snack products. And that raised a question for me, which you can address this later if it does not fit this thing. Where can I get more information on if my recipe is going to end up changing when it goes in a bag? Because that was something that was super important to people that I don't want to end up having to change.
You're definitely going to be able to have access, Katie, check me on this, but to food scientists and experts about product formulation and stuff. Is that right?
Yeah, so one of the things I noticed in the breakouts was just talk about some of the topics that will be coming up. So I want to just really quickly mention a few of those that reference conversations that I heard. We're going to have a food safety week and licensing week. So we'll have food safety experts who will answer your questions. That week is almost entirely where you list out questions and they just come prepped and ready to answer what they can. We also have a packaging and shelf life week where we'll have people who are experts in just that. We'll have a developing your formula week where you turn your recipe into a repeatable process to get the same result every time. So that's coming. And then we also have something that explains lab testing, what you need to know there. So there's lots of different things that are coming that will all feed into these conversations. And then of course, Andrew is doing a bunch of marketing stuff with us later in a deeper dive in some of these topics that we're talking about as well. So
Thanks for that, Katie. So Jocelyn, when you are thinking about like your pain point is healthy preserved, snacks or shelf stable snacks and stuff. So definitely as you're thinking about how to do that, another thought is to make sure you're talking to people on the cohort. Maybe there's some, people on the line who have perspectives, either alternatives. Pat talked about different sugars. Alice is talking about different method like freeze drying. Maybe people have ideas. So use the portal, the website, and maybe folks can give you some ideas. But like Katie said, there will be kind of specifics about food safety, and those same folks know about food science. And then, your process for turning it from cooking to manufacturing or, scaling, and that'll be talking about the processes too.
Because it was like, I was asking questions and then this was feedback that it was like volunteered, like it was additional and it was a regular thing about like
Great.
preservatives and stuff. So that's very cool. I look forward to learning a bit more.
Perfect. Let's have one more person. Eric, I see your hands up. Do you want to talk about your experience?
Yes. One of the things that kind of came out of our group was, I guess, between Pat and myself, the commonality for our surveys, I think, was the sugar aspect of our products and how that's a definite pain point, I think, for a lot of consumers at this point. So we kind of were just talking back and forth about different options for those, like sweeteners and things like that.
Perfect. And so the thing you're going to do differently, you're going to look into different sweeteners. I know that we talked about date sugar, palm sugar, stuff like that.
Right. Yep. Some of the different things we're going to experiment with it, because when you add different things like that, it changes the texture and
Exactly.
So yeah, definite tweaking.
Perfect. All right. Well, I think that's a good maybe place to pause the conversation. Again, would encourage you, keep the conversation going outside of these classes. This is the beauty of entrepreneurship, is you can do this all day, any day. There's no limits to this. So keep iterating, keep trying different things, survey, ask people, hypothesis test and do something different, try different things. And just, keep track of what you learn also. That's
One question for you, Andrew.
Sure.
Like, can we, if we have a specific question, like for you, is it permissible to like address that, like on mission statements, stuff like that? Like just send you like an idea for some direct feedback?
Of course. Yeah. You have my contact info. I think, Katie, it's up on the portal.
Yeah.
If not, I can get things through the portal, but it should be up there. But definitely I'm available, bounce ideas. I'm not always the most responsive. So if I don't get back to you, ping me again, but like definitely absolutely do that.
Okay.
We have everybody's email, right?
I would
Do we
think
have
so.
everybody?
I don't know.
Okay.
So
I just put my cell phone number for anybody who wanted to talk or complain or whatever to me. Text. And I just looked above and Seta did the same. So great. I'm gonna start complaining to Seta.
And you can always ping each other.
I'm ready.
Yeah, I think that you can just message each other through the portal too, right, Katie? And that'll go to people's inboxes and stuff.
Yeah.
it will.
Yeah, and
I would.
Yeah, if the site doesn't crash again. Sorry. Just
Thank you,
saying.
Pat. That's the first time it's crashed. And the entire time. So hopefully will not happen again, or else.
Right, because
Will
it
be.
never happens.
It only happened once though. So I have confidence in it. Katie will get that resolved. No doubt about that. But
I know,
think
Andrew and Katie, you're awesome. Sorry.
Thank you.
If you guys said, I am careful of privacy stuff with people and not to put out emails associated with names or addresses and phone numbers. But if you're okay with me sharing that, please just put your email address in the chat right now, and I'll compile a document using the addresses from last week and the emails and any phone numbers that people have put out there. But I do be respectful of anyone who does not want that. So
And
please
actually,
give me express.
Just quickly on that, just because, privacy is obviously important. You never know, like something gets hacked or whatever, but we do have a capability in the system, Katie, right? If you like direct message someone through the portal, it will go to your email on the other end. So feel free, obviously, to share whatever you want with whoever you want, but you do have the ability to connect with each other through the portal no matter what already.
Okay.
So that'll go to our email if we do it through the messenger, because that's why my only concern was like that it would go and then somebody wouldn't check it till Wednesday and I'd be a week before like somebody.
I think that's right, Katie. But
right on.
It should. There are email preferences and under the account area. So, but I think the default is set so that you receive an email if someone direct messages you. To receive an email for every time someone posts on the forums, you have to subscribe to that forum, but then it'll send you an email every time someone new posts, which is kind of fun. And I would say check your spam folder just to make sure, and to set the domain so that it can always come through as like a safe sender, because sometimes they end up in spam. So, Okay, with that, we have 4 minutes left, so I want to really quickly just preview this next week and what the activity that you'll be doing. So the upcoming activity is for product ideation, and that will be another week similar to this week, but even more time in the breakouts. It will be small discussions with 3 or 4 people each, and you'll really be just brainstorming together. To prepare for that, during this next week before the live discussion, you're going to do a bunch of research. Look online, go to the grocery store. There's some worksheets to fill out, but really try different things. One woman in our last cohort, she wanted to make sure that her food was accessible to people at different income levels, and she went to grocery stores that serve different income levels. So she liked it, the fresh market for the high end. So just to be aware of, think creatively, but really do that research and get in there. There is a worksheet, but I want you, it's the new product development form. I want you to wait until after the brainstorming session to finalize it, because a lot of times you will come up with a new idea, a new twist, and that we want to make sure to capture that on the worksheet. If you can't fill out the whole worksheet, that is expected and absolutely fine. I'm going to say that again. If you can't fill out the whole worksheet, that's okay. We're looking for the blank spots so we can support you to fill those in throughout the program. So there are discussion questions. Some of them can be answered during the research phase, some later on after the brainstorming session. So just feel free to answer whatever when you can. And with that, does anyone have any questions for us? Anything?
Yes.
Sorry, yes.
Can we redo this assignment if we decide we want to? Because it was fragmented. Well, for me personally, I'm speaking only for Seta. It was fragmented and it was such a good lesson until I really like to turn in a better product than what I did.
Absolutely, Seta. You can redo, and we encourage you to learn and iterate and keep investigating, keep trying, keep learning, and yeah, and every time, like I think Andrew said it last time, you're doing something wrong all the time, right? So the point is that there's always room for improvement, and so keep going and getting better each time around. So yeah, that's great, Seta. Tori, it looks like your hand is raised.
Yeah, I just had a question. You said you didn't want us to finalize the worksheet this time around until after we have the discussion. Do you want us to post our sort of initial unfinalized, or just hold off on posting them until after the discussion?
Hold off on posting the worksheets until after the discussion. You can, if you want to post about your research and what you're finding and talk to people about that, okay, and just kind of put it in there, that's the perfect thing to do before the brainstorming session. And we can all kind of comment and feed off of each other, but don't post that worksheet itself until after your brainstorming session.
All right, thanks.
All right.
And please take everybody, I think everybody should take everybody's survey.
Yep, have done.
Yep.
All right, everybody. Well, thank you for the wonderful, lively discussions. Yeah. And Andrew, thank you so much for everything. And we will see you all next week. If you need anything in the meantime, just reach out.
Okay.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
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 Seta, I don't know if you saw JV, but she said she's going to call you.
Okay. That's fine. I'll look for a call. Bye-bye.